Hey guys, it's Jessica, and today I'm going to show you a new technique, or new to me at least, where you can achieve the look of marbled paper using supplies that you probably already have on hand. So you can see that I just showed a can of super cheap shaving cream. And I am just squirting that all over the bottom of a glass pan. Now, I chose to use a glass pan because I know that it will clean up easily, and I chose to use one that I don't really use for my baking or cooking. That way I could use a variety of different products and not have to worry about it being food safe. So if you have the ability to dedicate one pan or dish or anything like that to use for your crafty stuff, that might be a good idea. That way, like I said, you don't have to worry about going back and forth with things that are not so safe for you to consume. For example, distress spray stains. So that's the first thing that I decided to try here. And this video is basically just me experimenting with different mediums with the shaving cream to see what effect I can get. I thought that this was a really cool idea and I wanted to give it a try and see what was possible. So I tried a couple different things. Now the first thing that I'm trying here is the Tim Holtz for Ranger Distress Spray Stains. The two colors that I'm using are Abandoned Coral and Cracked Pistachio. So what I did was I squirted the can of shaving cream directly into my glass dish, just enough to cover the bottom. It doesn't have to be like every single crack and crevice is covered, but just a general coating. Then I went ahead and spritzed and sprayed in the Distress Spray Stains in a random and completely random order. Just what I thought might look good. And then I took the end of a paintbrush. You could use anything like a pencil or, I don't know, like a spoon or something like that. The handle of something that's kind of long and skinny. And I went through and kind of did like a swirling pattern just to kind of mix the colors around a little bit and get a nice balance between the white and the pigmented areas. So once I had it where I wanted it, I went ahead and took it or put my paper, and I'm just using regular cardstock. I think that's Recollections cardstock, so it's really inexpensive, and I just thought that that'd be good. It's actually out of my scrap container. So I figured it would be good to go ahead and use it up. So I went ahead and pressed the paper into the shaving cream and kind of smooshed it down in there a good little bit. And then took it out. I used an old Target gift card that I had laying around to scrape off the shaving cream. And I just wiped the excess on an extra paper towel that I had on hand. And then you can see that it gives you this really cool marbled effect. I thought that turned out really cool. It's subtle, but it's still really neat. And it's something that will add a lot of interest to your card. So here I went ahead and sped up the rest of the video because it's basically the same thing. I'm just trying some different mediums. So the cool thing about this technique is that you don't have to clean the pan or the dish and start over completely fresh every single time. If you want to try a couple different colors or a different medium, all you have to do is squirt more shaving cream over top of what you already did, and it's like you have a clean slate, which is really great because my craft room is upstairs over the garage, and in order to clean my dish, I have to go down the stairs and through the baby gate and into the kitchen, and that is more work than I want to do when I'm trying to craft. So this is great for me. So I just went ahead and squirted a new layer of the shaving cream right on top of what I was working with before. And what I am using here is the Tim Holtz for Ranger, again, Distress Paint. So the two colors are Twisted Citron and Fossilized Amber. So that's the Distress Paint. I found that this didn't really work the way I thought it was going to. I had a way more white space than I thought I was going to have based on kind of like what it looked like originally, but it's still cool. So I think depending on the different medium that you use, so either the spray stain or the paint or just whatever, you're going to have to play around with it and see what results you get. And then you can adjust the amount of pigment that you put in. So probably for that particular kind, I should have just used more. But I wasn't really sure how much to use. Like I said, this is all new to me and I'm just practicing and experimenting to kind of see what works and what doesn't. So the next thing that I tried was just some craft paint that I had, and I've had it forever. It's just been sitting in my craft room, so I figured, hey, why not? So I went ahead and squirted some of that in there. It's like a nice apple green sort of color, and then kind of like a peachy coral sort of color. I tend to like those kinds of combinations. This one reminds me of watermelon. And that first one I did with the cracked pistachio and the abandoned coral, that's one of my favorite color combinations. I just really love the way they look together. But here again, I'm just doing the same thing, smooshing that paper down into the shaving cream and the pigment. And then on my paper towel, I'm using my gift card to scrape off the excess shaving cream. Now the cool thing about this is when you scrape it off, it's already dried for this particular medium. Now you'll see for one of the other ones that I do, actually it might have been this one. Yes, it is this one. So you can see it's smeared. So this paint didn't work the same way that the Distress paint did. When I had the Distress paint and when I had the Distress spray stains, they dried onto the paper pretty much instantly, so that when I scraped it off, it didn't smear. This one did. So this craft paint, it smeared. So here I'm doing the other side just to see if I can get different results. But for the Distress items at least, they did dry quickly onto the paper so that when I scraped it, I didn't have any issues. This one does smear again. So with the acrylic paint, it might not be the best choice unless you want something that's messy. If you're going for like a mixed media sort of look, this would be great. But if you do want like a really pretty marbled effect, maybe don't use the acrylic paint, or it might just be my acrylic paint. I don't know. But the thing about the shaving cream is it does get your paper wet. So you will probably have some warping, and you're going to want to let your paper set aside to dry. Depending on how much shaving cream was there and whatever the pigment is that you use, it might be a little bit more or less wet. So just kind of gauge, what's working for you and let it dry accordingly, especially if you're going to be using any sort of embossing powder or anything like that that might stick to it if it's still wet. For the last one that I tried for this video, I actually am using food coloring. So the little itty bitty drops of food coloring that you can get at the store in the baking aisle. I had just some in my kitchen, so I decided to try it. And I used the red and the yellowish orange and the green and the blue. And I kind of just swirled it all over the place and mixed a lot of colors together that probably shouldn't have been mixed together. But what the heck. And there I am putting my paper in again and smooshing it down to make sure that the pigment gets attached. Now the cool thing about that also is you've seen me do it a couple times, but there were some times when I didn't get as much color as I wanted the first time. So I just plopped it right back down into the shaving cream and the pigment and, pushed down in the areas that I thought needed some more color. And then that's it. So since it's kind of a wacky and crazy look anyway, you're able to kind of play around with it. So I did two of the same one so you can see what it looks like or what the difference is when you've done it for the second time. So you don't have to do a new layer every single time, but you will get different results. So they come out looking a little bit different. Like this one has way more color concentration than that first one I did. So just depends on the look that you're going for. I think this would be a fun card for a kid's birthday or something like that to use as background paper. So there is the technique on how to marble your own paper. I hope you liked it. And here is just a quick look at the card I made using the very first one that I made during this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a big thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this.